The bride in the entrance portrait was not me. It was my older sister, Celeste Reed, the chronically ill public face of our family's Heartlight Foundation, and my fiancé, William Blackwood, the billionaire CEO of the Blackwood Hotel Empire, had just chosen her portrait for the entrance to our wedding. We were shooting our formal wedding portraits inside the Blackwood Grand, the flagship hotel of his empire. When the photographer joked that Celeste and I looked like mirror images, William immediately asked the staff to bring her another white gown. I stood in the gown I had designed myself. Celeste posed alone on the grand staircase. Dad said she carried herself more like the future Mrs. Blackwood than I did.
Put this one at the hotel entrance.
Where will our photograph go? He looked at me as though he had only just remembered that I was the woman he was supposed to marry.
The digital gallery. The entrance needs something more editorial. Her engagement ended after her last surgery. She may never get the wedding she planned. What's wrong with letting her have one formal portrait?
Celeste's childhood heart surgeries had made her the center of both our family and the foundation built around her recovery. Anything she wanted became something I was selfish to keep. I pulled the only photograph of William and me from the album. Then I pushed it into the shredder. I would never become his bride. Before anyone from the shoot noticed, I stepped into the quiet corridor beside the lobby. I called Professor Whitmore.
Evelyn?
Is the Providence residency still available?
Yes. But if you accept, you need to be here next week.
I will be there. I ended the call before returning to the studio. William was finally standing beside the shredder, staring at the paper strips inside.
Are you seriously throwing a tantrum over one photograph?
After the shoot, we went to the Blackwood Grand for the final menu tasting. The menu had been approved 3 weeks earlier, or so I thought. Canapes, champagne, and a pale soup in porcelain cups waited on the tasting table. The banquet manager placed a revised menu beside my plate.
Mr. Blackwood requested a full revision yesterday. Every course now follows Miss Celeste Reed's medical restrictions.
Why did you change my wedding menu without asking me?
Celeste's restrictions are medical. Your preferences are not. Heartlight's biggest donors will be at the reception. She has to make it through the night.
I took one spoonful of the soup. The familiar taste reached the back of my throat. What is in this?
Fennel, tarragon, and vegetable stock.
I'm allergic to fennel. Who approved serving this at my wedding?
William did not hesitate.
I authorized it. I own the right.
You knew.
You had one bad reaction in college. Celeste has actual medical restrictions.
That reaction sent me to the emergency room.
There is no need to change the entire menu. Evelyn can skip one course.
The burning in my throat spread before I could answer. I covered my mouth, ran into the restroom, and dropped to my knees in front of the toilet. I vomited until tears ran down my face. Footsteps stopped outside the door. William leaned against the frame, looking irritated rather than concerned.
Celeste finally found a menu she can tolerate. Did you have to react like this at the table?
I wiped my mouth. My throat felt raw.
Stop asking me to act like the bride while you treat Celeste like one.
You can finish the tasting without me. You can hold the wedding without me too. I will not be there.
He laughed as though I had made an empty threat.
Calm down. You will feel differently tomorrow.
He turned away the moment Celeste called his name. I returned to the penthouse alone. 2 boxes of magnolia-embossed invitations waited on the dining table. Half of the invitations were gone. Across the table, Celeste, the woman who ran Heartlight's donor events and media, campaigns, was already writing donor names on the envelopes that should have been mine to send. William saw me looking at the half-empty box.
I gave them to Celesta. She needed invitations for the Heartlight donors.
Those are our wedding invitations.
You barely invited anyone. You still have plenty left.
My engagement ended before I ever got to send invitations. I was jealous, and I lost control.
William pushed the addressed envelopes back toward her.
Keep writing. Ellen will get over it.
I pulled the envelopes out of Celeste's hands, took the Heartlight donor list, and tore it straight down the middle.
No more invitations leave this apartment without my approval.
I locked the remaining box inside the cabinet before William could stop me.
The residency begins Monday. Bring your old portfolio and your shears.
I looked at the torn donor list on the table.
I will be there.
That afternoon, I returned to the Blackwood Grand for the final ceremony walkthrough. When the ballroom doors opened, Celeste was standing at the entrance to my aisle in a white gown. The ceremony coordinator held out a timeline.
Mr. Blackwood has arranged to escort Mrs. Celeste Reed down the entire aisle before the bride enters.
William promised me this one moment.
William took Celeste's hand and stepped onto my aisle with her. Her first white heel had barely touched the runner when I crossed the distance and slapped her. The sound cracked through the ballroom.
If you want my wedding this badly, Celeste, should I give you the groom too?
William seized my wrist.
Apologize to her.
I ripped my hand free and slapped him across the face. That is my answer. William stared at me in disbelief.
You are marrying me. Celesta gets one walk. Stop humiliating everyone.
I took the ceremony timeline from the coordinator and tore it in half. Then I threw the pieces at Celeste's white gown.
Fine. Since you like trash so much, you can have him.
Mom gasped. Dad called me disgraceful.
This entrance is not approved. If they attempt it on the wedding day, stop the music and call security.
I walked away while William stood beside Celeste with the torn schedule at his feet. That night, the penthouse door opened. William came in with Celeste behind him and her suitcase in his hand. He carried it toward our guest room. I caught the handle, dragged it back across the floor, and shoved it into the hallway.
She is not staying in my home.
William pulled the suitcase back across the threshold.
Celesta stays.
I held the door open and looked at both of them.
Then choose. Which one of you is leaving with that suitcase?
William answered without hesitation.
Neither. Celesta stays. Stop making a scene.
I looked at the suitcase, then at the man who had just chosen who belonged in our home.
Then I will leave.
You will come back when you calm down.
I went to the bedroom, packed one overnight bag, and placed my acceptance letter, portfolio, and silver-handled shears inside. Celeste stood beside William with one hand pressed to her chest.
I never wanted you to leave because of me. You never want anything. You just keep taking it.
I walked out and closed the penthouse door behind me. For the first time, I did not stay long enough for William to explain why his choice was supposed to be reasonable. At a boutique hotel 2 blocks away, I opened the train schedule. I selected the date printed on our wedding invitation. The screen read, New York to Providence wedding DAY 11:40 a.m. One way, I pressed purchase. Ticket confirmed. The ticket confirmation reached my email before sunrise. I canceled the honeymoon suite on the Amalfi Coast. The next morning, while William took Celeste to breakfast, I returned to the penthouse. My overnight bag remained at the hotel. I opened the shared workspace, archived every original wedding file, and removed William and the planning team from the editor list. I sent the access logs to my attorney and disabled every shared link. Notifications filled the screen. Access removed, shared link disabled. William came back before I finished.
What exactly are you doing?
Taking back the work I made.
The invitations have already been printed. This is childish.
Then you do not need the original files.
Before he could answer, his phone lit up. Celeste had sent him a photograph of the entrance portrait. Across the back, she had written,
Mrs. Blackwood, just for one night?
William carried the phone into the guest room at the penthouse. The door remained partly open.
Do not write things like that. Evelyn will take it seriously.
He never said the words were wrong, only that I might react. The next day was our 7th anniversary. William had reserved a private dining room, but he left before the first course when Celeste called from Heartlight's annual fundraising livestream, sponsored by Blackwood Group, and said she could not breathe. I paid the bill and went to the studio myself. Celeste was no longer gasping. She was laughing with a producer while a makeup artist retouched her face. William stood at the control desk reviewing the graphics. The central screen displayed the wedding animation I had drawn frame by frame, but the final title read, Celeste Reed and the Heartlight Foundation. There was no design credit. I pressed record on my phone, walked to the console, and hit blackout. Celeste's face vanished from every screen. The studio went silent. William turned toward me.
Who gave you permission to steal my work?
William did not hesitate.
I did.
He did not sound ashamed.
The production team needed something polished. You can create another package for the wedding.
You gave away work that did not belong to you.
We are getting married. Stop separating everything into yours and mine.
I saved the recording and sent it to my attorney. This was no longer about dinner. It was about ownership. Back at the penthouse building, I packed 7 years of gifts into a black bag and carried it downstairs. The final wedding floor plan now included a floor-to-ceiling Heartlight media wall beside the hotel entrance. It displayed Celeste's interviews, donation totals, donor names, and the same animation taken from my files. She was no longer attending my wedding. She was turning it into her own charity gala. By the day before the wedding, the Heartlight wall was already standing when I reached the hotel. But the screen was no longer the worst thing William had changed. For foundation tables had replaced the seats reserved for my professor, my closest friends, and the co-workers who had helped build William's company. All of my guests had been pushed to the farthest corner of the ballroom.
The foundation guests need to sit near the exits.
So you moved everyone who came for me?
It's one night. Don't blow it up over a seating chart.
I pulled my wrist away when he tried to close his hand around it.
Those people are not my guests, and do not use my name to promote the foundation.
At lunch, Celeste suddenly pressed a hand to her chest and began breathing rapidly. Then she announced that a famous cardiac specialist in Philadelphia had an opening on the morning of my wedding. Mom said the entire family would take her. William took the wedding schedule from the planner. He crossed out bridal brunch, then first look, family portraits, garden ceremony. Beneath the 4 black lines, he wrote one replacement. Seed PM indoor ceremony. One ceremony at 7. That was all William had left of my wedding. So everyone is going to Philadelphia with Celeste?
Yes. We will hold the ceremony at 7.
Fine. Move it to the evening. William visibly relaxed. He thought I had finally surrendered.
Go home and sleep. Tomorrow all of this will finally be over.
He was right. He simply did not know which part of my life was ending. That night, I returned to the penthouse before William and Celeste came back. I packed only what belonged to me: my acceptance letter, old sketches, fabric receipts, and the silver-handled shears. I photographed the penthouse and left every gift William had bought me exactly where it was. By midnight, my attorney had notified the officiant and every vendor that I would not participate in the ceremony or authorize public use of my designs. The notices would take effect at 9 the next morning. The 11:40 ticket I had bought the night I left the penthouse was still in my wallet. William still believed I would spend the afternoon becoming his wife. By noon, I would be gone. At dawn, William wrapped Celeste in a cashmere blanket and helped her into the car for Philadelphia. Mom carried the medical file. Dad told the driver to hurry.
Get yourself to the hotel. Tonight, I will give you a wedding you will remember.
After the car left, I changed into a black suit and went to the Blackwood Grand. I entered the bridal suite carrying legal documents and the silver-handled shears.
Miss Reed, you are finally here. We thought...
I am not here for hair and makeup.
The wedding is canceled. Remove every item carrying my name or my original work.
The planner stared at me.
Mr. Blackwood paid the final balance. He paid for a ballroom and dinner. He did not buy a bride.
The planner began calling every department. I walked to the garment rack and unzipped the gown I had designed. Inside the lining, one private label read, Evelyn Blackwood. I used the silver shears to cut the name out. I had paid for the gown myself. I zipped it into a garment bag and handed it to the charity representative my attorney had arranged to meet me that morning. Before the representative reached the elevator, the planner's phone rang.
Mr. Blackwood is calling from the road. He says the bride must be dressed and waiting when he returns.
Tell him to come see what is left of his wedding. The planner stood in the doorway.
Should we remove the hot light media wall too?
I looked at Celeste's face moving across the enormous screen.
Remove every frame, transition, and graphic copied from my files. Leave the foundation's own footage and donor list. So the wall stays? Yes. William approved it. It is what they actually wanted.
Over the next 2 hours, every W&E element came down. The LED wall remained, stripped down to Celeste's interviews, Heartlight donation totals, and rows of donor names. What had been a wedding ballroom now looked like a charity reception dressed in white. At 11:20, I placed the penthouse key and my engagement ring in an envelope and gave it to my attorney. At 11:37, I scanned the ticket I had bought the night William chose Celeste over our home. At 11:40, the train left New York. I sent one final message to the family group chat.
I have canceled the wedding. I will not be marrying William. All further contact must go through my attorney.
Then I left the chat, disabled location sharing, and blocked them. By early evening, I had checked into a small room in Providence. At 6:58 p.m., my attorney forwarded a live news clip from the hotel lobby. William entered with Celeste in white beside him. There was no wedding sign left anywhere in the lobby. The ceremony coordinator crossed the empty space and placed a sealed envelope in his hand. William tore it open. The notice confirmed that I had canceled the ceremony and instructed the officiant not to proceed. William looked from the paper to the empty lobby. There was no W&E monogram, no welcome table, and no aisle leading toward a ceremony platform. Only the Heartlight donor wall remained, filled with Celeste's face and the names of her guests. Reporters surrounded them before William reached the ballroom.
Is tonight a wedding or a Heartlight event? Where is the bride?
She's upstairs getting ready. The ceremony will proceed.
The ceremony coordinator held up the notice he had just opened.
Ms. Reed canceled the ceremony and notified the officiant that she would not participate. The dinner may continue, but it is no longer a wedding.
Guests began whispering. Several immediately headed for the exits. The cameras turned toward Celeste, standing in white beneath a wall covered with her own image.
Is it true that the groom was supposed to walk the entire wedding aisle with you before the real bride entered?
Celeste parted her lips, but no answer came out.
Why did your wish have to happen inside your sister's wedding?
Another reporter turned towards William Blackwood.
Did the bride cancel before or after you left her alone to take Celeste to Philadelphia?
William had no answer.
Mom stepped in front of Celeste.
She has a serious heart condition. Stop attacking her!
For once, the sentence did not silence the room. The band stopped playing. Photographers packed the equipment reserved for the wedding. Florists dismantled the installations that belonged to me. By the end, only Celeste's donor wall and a room of confused foundation archosp remained.
William called my number. The call went directly to my attorney's voicemail.
He ordered his assistant to find me.
Ms. Reed resigned from the company and family office and legally protected her address. We have no authority to track her.
William left the hotel and unlocked the penthouse himself.
Evelyn?
No one answered. The lights came on automatically, revealing untouched furniture and a closet still full of everything he had bought.
Only I was gone. On the dining table waited an envelope, my engagement ring, and a 47-page manual he had never seen before.
Inside were the penthouse key, the engagement ring, and a 47-page transition manual for the work I had performed as his assistant. The penthouse still contained every dress, jewel, handbag, and expensive object he had bought me. But my sketches, notebooks, fabric books, acceptance letter, and silver-handled shears were gone. A pale rectangle marked the place where the shears had rested for years. The inventory report confirmed that I had taken nothing owned by Blackwood. The manual covered hundreds of responsibilities William had never needed to remember because I had remembered them for him. The final page contained one sentence. Transition manual. None of this work belongs to me anymore. Celeste called while he was still holding the page. He silenced the call. Then Blackwood's internal compliance team sent him the Heartlight access audit he had ordered after the wedding. A new file appeared on his tablet, Heartlight Crisis Timeline. The first line read, Philadelphia appointment booked 3 weeks before the wedding. William carried the tablet to the guest room and held the record in front of Celeste.
When did you book Philadelphia?
Celeste looked at the appointment record in William's hand.
3 weeks before the wedding?
William placed the livestream log beside it. It proved that she had uploaded my wedding graphics for days before our anniversary. The studio medic had recorded stable vital signs and noted that Celeste refused to continue until William arrived. Celeste's face lost all color.
I only wanted the morning events canceled. I could not stand watching everyone gather around her. On your anniversary, I needed you to come to me. I thought she would marry you anyway.
So both emergencies were arranged?
I really do have a heart condition. I only chose the moments when I needed you most.
I never forced you to abandon her. You chose me every single time.
William went completely still. She was right. Every final decision had been his. But when he called my attorney, he did not apologize.
Tell Evelyn to meet me.
She has declined all direct contact.
She will change her mind.
At the same moment, my phone lit up in Providence.
Professor Whitmore, tomorrow, 8 a.m., bring your shears. Your first view decides whether you stay.
A man I had never met drew a hard line across my satin sample and pushed the silver shears toward me.
Cut it.
During my first week at Aurelia, I wore one temporary badge, E17. The 12-week residency was anonymous. The panel knew nothing about my wedding or 7 years away from design. The man holding my shears was Gabriel Laurent, Aurelia's executive director and final evaluator.
Technically sound, far too safe.
Restoration begins with respecting the material.
You are not respecting the damage. You are hiding it.
Make the damaged edge part of the shape.
That could destroy the entire panel.
He slid the shears closer.
Then do not retreat.
I cut along his line. Under the work light, the damaged edge became the strongest part of the silhouette. Gabriel looked at the new shape.
Better.
Then he opened a climate-controlled case. Inside lay a length of 1940s deadstock silk from Aurelia's study collection, formally approved for experimental reuse.
Your final assignment will be built from this. The archive has no second length.
I raised the shears and made the first cut. 12 weeks later, under the gala lights, the steel support inside the finished gown snapped. 12 weeks of work collapsed in front of me in less than 3 seconds. The metal support snapped during the final lighting rehearsal. The closing gown folded around the model, and the black silk tore beneath the stage lights.
Remove E17 from the gala. The study collection silk cannot survive another structural failure.
Gabriel checked the clock.
Final inspection is at 8 tomorrow morning. If the gown is not stable, it is out.
He handed me the archive keys and called the metal technician back to the building. Gabriel had never replaced standards with sympathy, and he did not start that night. Because residents could not handle study collection textiles alone overnight, he stayed while I rebuilt the internal frame. For 8 hours, he held the steel support beneath the work lamp while I repaired the gown. At 7:58 a.m., the gown stood upright again. The tear no longer looked like damage. It crossed the bodice as one deliberate structural line. At final review, the 3-look own name capsule collection placed first. After the rankings were sealed, Professor Whitmore handed Gabriel the identity envelope for E17. He opened it. His eyes stopped on my name. Gabriel studied the identity page for several seconds.
You already knew my name?
Your canceled wedding made national headlines.
Then why did you never ask me about it?
Because the file said E17. That was all the panel needed to know.
That night, the 3 own name looks debuted at Aurelia's annual gala. When the closing gown stepped into the light, buyers and museum representatives asked about the construction and my next collection. Not my canceled wedding. After the show, a potential investor placed a partnership agreement on the table. The agreement put Aurelia in gold, my name in small print, and every future own name design under the archive's permanent ownership.
Annex very new for was in Chiri. Aurelia gives her credibility. The archive should own the product.
Gabriel drew a line through the ownership clause.
That I say new or does. Her name is the product.
The investor refused the revision. Gabriel tore the unsigned agreement in half and dropped it back onto the table. I placed my own proposal beside the torn pages. Aurelia would receive a fixed fee, but my brand and designs would remain mine. Gabriel read it and offered his hand.
Welcome to Auraria, Ms. Reed.
A business photographer captured us standing beneath the word's own name while the black closing gown remained lit behind us. The photograph reached New York that night. Celeste's confession had changed nothing. William enlarged Gabriel's hand in mine and emailed Blackwood Legal. William's email.
Review every design and branding file Evelyn created while employed by Blackwood. Find a claim before she signs anything else.
6 months later, Blackwood Legal finally found the claim William wanted. They accused me of building own name with designs and materials that belonged to his company. Camera flashes exploded across the museum entrance as Mom grabbed my arm.
Come back to New York, and all of this stops.
6 months had passed since the canceled wedding. My first independent collection had just opened at the Boston Museum of Art and Design. William had already sent 3 offers through lawyers, each promising to restore my career if I returned.
I rejected them all. This was his 4th attempt.
Celeste had contacted the press and claimed that own name used materials paid for by the Heartlight Foundation. She also accused me of exploiting her illness and the canceled wedding for publicity. Mom cried into the microphones. Dad said every design I had created while working for William belonged to the Blackwood Group. William stood behind them and denied nothing. I looked down at Mom's hand on my arm, then at the cameras.
So the 4 of you planned this together?
Return the business assets, and we will resolve this quietly.
Who want Diam Museum? Mis make their Bostony arts may leaving a best perspective. They are personal sketches I made between 18 and 25.
Who can prove that? You have not worked publicly as a designer in 7 years.
I took out my phone. The red recording icon lit up between us. I raised my phone between us.
I'm recording this conversation. You can leave now, or you can keep talking.
You said that if I return to New York, all of you will withdraw these accusations?
Gabriel stood at the exhibition entrance. He did not answer for me. He signaled security to clear an exit and hold the press back. Dad lunged for the phone. I pulled it out of reach. Several microphones turned toward William. William finally stepped forward.
Evelyn, do not record a private conversation.
You did not come here to discuss family. You came to threaten my career.
I turned to security.
Please remove them.
Mom reached for me again, but 2 guards stepped between us. As the guards moved William toward the curb, he looked back.
Walk through those doors, and Blackstone will file for an injunction before the courthouse opens.
Then file it.
The museum doors closed between us while my phone continued recording. 3 cancellation notices reached my phone before 9 the next morning. The museum froze its campaign. Buyers withheld payment. The Own Name order page went dark. Blackwood claimed that Own Name's design and branding files had been created with company resources and belonged to it under an employment IP assignment. Celeste and my parents supported the claim with sworn statements and foundation payment records. Then William asked me to meet him alone. A settlement agreement waited on the conference table.
Come back to New York as Blackwood's creative director. I will withdraw the suit and recognize you publicly.
I opened the agreement. One clause ended my partnership with Aurelia. Another required permanent silence about the wedding and Celeste.
This is not a settlement. It is the same life under a different title. So you've frozen my career?
The moment you return, everything will be restored.
You have finally proved that leaving you was the right decision.
The next morning, Blackwood submitted its electronic intellectual property assignment at the federal hearing. The clerk placed its file history beside my resignation notice on the courtroom screen. The assignment had been created 2 months after I left.
Mr. Blackwood, explain this date.
The date on the courtroom screen moved the case beyond William's control almost immediately. Professor Whitmore had preserved my complete design school application portfolio. It already contained the earliest structural sketches that would later become the Own Name collection. The vintage fabric market still had receipts showing that I had bought the materials with my personal card. Blackwood's outside e-discovery vendor flagged the assignment, and the company's IT director produced William's internal email under the preservation order.
Your Honor, the metadata contradicts the filing.
In the email, William instructed the Information Technology Department to reconstruct a record that can establish the designs as company property.
The record was corrected because the original file was incomplete. That does not make it false.
Mr. Blackwood, an internal correction does not require an instruction to reconstruct evidence. The request for a temporary injunction is denied. Preserve every relevant Blackwood's served.
The matter was referred to prosecutors for investigation into fabricated evidence, obstruction of justice, and electronic fraud. The foundation payment records submitted by my parents exposed an even larger problem during verification. Over the previous 5 years, more than $4 million from the Heartlight Foundation had been spent on expenses unrelated to charity. The first image from the charity fraud investigation showed workers removing Celeste's portrait from a hospital donor wall. They lowered it in front of the cameras while the Heartlight plaque was unscrewed beside it. The New York Attorney General froze Heartlight's fundraising and opened an audit. The altered receipts then triggered a federal fraud investigation. The records my family had forged to erase my authorship exposed jewelry, luxury travel, private drivers, and concierge medical services charged to rehabilitation funds. Mom had approved the payments. Dad had signed the audits. At the Heartlight office, every monitor displayed the same words: account frozen, fundraising suspended. Mom pressed her key card against the glass doors twice. The light stayed red. Celeste stood behind her, but no employee came to let them inside. The same lawsuit exposed Blackwood's records to its board. At the emergency board meeting, the chair spoke first.
Effective immediately, William Blackberry is removed from every executive position.
You cannot remove me from the company my family built.
You used the company to fabricate evidence. We are removing you to protect it.
An assistant held out a hand for his executive access card. Before he reached the elevator, his name vanished from the company directory in the lobby. One lawsuit had been meant to drag me home. Instead, it removed William from his own company. Before he left the building, his attorney called mine.
Mr. Blackwood has agreed to plead guilty. He surrenders to federal custody tomorrow morning. He is asking to see Miss Reed once before that.
Before William surrendered to federal custody, he asked to see me one last time. We met in a courthouse conference room with a court officer outside. William wore an unbranded dark suit and came alone.
I am going to plead guilty. I sent the email. I ordered the file to be created. I will state publicly that you never took company property.
Telling the truth was always the minimum.
When all of this is over, could there still be a chance for us?
No. When you hurt me, you assumed I would never leave. When I left, you assumed destroying my work would force me back. You regret losing me, but you still never learned to respect my choice.
Gabriel was waiting outside the courthouse. He did not ask what William had said. He simply handed me a new partnership agreement. Aurelia offered me a permanent studio. My brand would remain independent, and the archive would receive only a fixed licensing fee. I read the final page.
Ebicum 22 of Herod's Invectul Evman, you are not worried that I will reject the investor's advice again?
I am more worried that one day you will stop arguing with me.
That night, we kissed for the first time. The next morning, my attorney sent one message. All four defendants have agreed to plead guilty. Over the next several months, all four defendants entered guilty pleas. Their sentencing hearings were scheduled for the same week. William received 8 years for wire fraud, fabrication of evidence, and obstruction of justice. He was permanently barred from serving as a corporate officer or director. Celeste received 6 years for charity fraud, wire fraud, and perjury, with a permanent ban on managing or fundraising for any charity. Dad received 5 years. Mom received 4. At federal intake, his signet ring, her pearls, Celeste's foundation pin, and William's Blackwood ring were sealed in separate property bags. Their homes, trusts, cars, jewelry, William's controlling shares, and foundation property were liquidated to repay donors. Cover own names, frozen order losses, and satisfy my civil judgment. The Blackwood Grand was sold and rebranded. News cameras filmed the new owner lowering the Blackwood letters from the entrance one by one. Then workers carried the giant bridal portrait William had chosen for our wedding entrance out of hotel storage. Its frame split against the industrial dumpster as the Heartlight seal came off the locked office doors. 8 months later, Own Name held its first independent runway show in Paris. After the finale, I took Gabriel into the empty backstage area. I was not choosing him because he had rescued me. We had faced a real crisis, disagreed without destroying each other, and still chosen to remain on the same side. I pulled a simple band of my own design from my pocket. There was no magnolia and no symbol connected to my past. Inside were the words Gabriel had given me during our first argument. Don't retreat.
I used to wait for other people to decide when I was worth choosing. This time, I am asking, will you marry me?
Gabriel stared at me for several seconds. Then he smiled and slid the ring onto his finger.
Yes.
He did not get down on one knee. He wrapped his arms around me and kissed me in the empty backstage space. 1 year later, we were married in the glass atrium of the Aurelia Costume Archive. There was no donor wall or live broadcast. Every guest had come to witness our marriage, not use it. Our invitations carried no family crest, and the menu had been chosen for us. I wore a gown I had designed. The label carried one name, Evelyn Reed. Gabriel waited at the ceremony platform. When Gabriel saw me, his eyes stayed on me. Inside Gabriel's wedding band, the words "Don't retreat" remained. Professor Whitmore walked with me to the entrance of the aisle.
Ready?
I looked at Gabriel waiting at the other end.
Ready.
I did not surrender my place to anyone. I walked toward the name, career, and marriage that were mine. However, before the applause for our wedding had fully faded, my brand director appeared at the doorway of the glass atrium. She was still holding her phone, and one look at her face told me this was not something that could wait until morning.
Evelyn, I'm sorry. You need to see this now.
I took the phone while guests were still raising champagne behind us. Von Mason had announced a new evening collection less than 20 minutes earlier. The campaign image showed a black gown with the same diagonal structural line that had defined E17, the damaged design. I rebuilt during my Aurelia residency, the piece that eventually became the beginning of Own Name. Across the announcement were the words Aurelia Heritage Collection. My name was nowhere on the first page. Gabriel stepped beside me. The moment he saw the screen, his expression changed. I opened the attached rights statement. Vaughn claimed commercial authorization over certain works developed through Aurelia's historical study programs. Then I reached the final page. At the bottom was a signature dated 6 years before Gabriel and I ever met. Gabriel Laurent. I looked at my husband. Less than an hour earlier, I had walked toward him because I finally knew what it felt like to be chosen without disappearing. Now another company was using his name to sell the design that had helped me become myself again.
Evelyn, I can explain what that agreement was.
Then start with the part that matters. I held the phone between us. Why is your signature on the contract they're using to sell my work? Gabriel didn't ask me to calm down. He did not take the phone from my hand or tell me Vaughn's claim was too complicated for me to understand. He led me into Aurelia's private archive room, opened the original agreement, and placed every page in front of me.
I signed this 6 years ago, when Aurelia was close to closing 2 departments.
Von Mason had provided emergency funding in exchange for broad commercial use rights connected, 2 specific study materials and archive-sponsored experiments. The clause was badly written. It was also real. But it did not give Vaughn ownership of own name, my current collection, or every design I created afterward.
They are stretching an old permission into a claim it was never meant to become.
Did you know they were coming after E17?
No.
2 months earlier, Vaughn's lawyers had asked a routine question about historical archive rights. They had never named me, own name or E17. Gabriel had sent the inquiry to counsel and thought it was another attempt to revive an old licensing dispute. That mattered, but it did not erase the fear that had hit me when I saw his signature. I spent years being the last person told about decisions that controlled my life.
Then you will not be the last person told here. Read everything. Ask me anything. And if you're angry at what I signed, be angry at me.
My phone rang before I could answer. Madeline Vaughn's name appeared on the screen.
Congratulations on the wedding, Evelyn.
A pause.
Now come meet me without your husband.
I went to Von Mason the next morning because I wanted to hear Madeline's offer without Gabriel speaking for me. My attorney waited outside. Madeline's private showroom was almost empty except for one dress placed beneath a spotlight. Editzi, or rather Vaughn's polished commercial version of it.
You should be flattered. We made it sellable.
You made it yours on the label, that's not the same thing. She smiled and placed a contract on the table. Vaughn would stop using the disputed E17 license and remove every suggestion that I had collaborated with them. In exchange, Own Name would enter a 5-year exclusive partnership under Vaughn's global distribution network. The proposed label read Evelyn Reed for Vaughn. I closed the contract. I read whose name you put above mine.
You didn't read the number.
Her smile cooled.
Gabriel used to understand compromise better.
No. She slid another document toward me, the old funding schedule from 6 years earlier.
Aurelia was dying. I offered money. He offered access.
To the archive?
To the people creating inside it.
I looked at her. I leaned closer.
You think your marriage proves he is different because he looks at you first? Ask him how many young designers he was willing to place second when the archive needed saving.
You don't get my company, and you don't get to explain my husband to me. I walked out with the unsigned contract still on her table. But the moment I reached the sidewalk, I called Gabriel. I'm coming home. I want the part of the story she thinks you're afraid to tell me. Gabriel was waiting when I came home. He had already opened the old funding records on the dining table.
Did you trade away residents' rights to save Aurelia?
I agreed to terms I would never sign now.
It wasn't the answer I wanted. It was the honest one. 6 years earlier, Aurelia had been weeks from cutting staff and closing part of its study collection. Gabriel had taken Vaughn's money and accepted language broad enough to let the sponsor profit from certain resident experiments. Some designers lost opportunities they should have controlled themselves.
I told myself the archive surviving helped everyone.
Did it?
Not enough to make the choice fair.
He looked at me without reaching for my hand.
Don't forgive that because you love me.
That stopped me. William had always demanded forgiveness before he admitted harm. Gabriel was asking me to judge him clearly, even if the answer hurt him.
Would you sign it now?
No.
Even if Aurelia was in danger again?
I would find another way before I use someone else's name as collateral.
I believed him. But believing him did not mean Varn disappeared.
I went to the Own Name studio and pulled the current collection from storage. Professor Whitmore watched me place E17 beside the new pattern.
Are you going to fight over the old dress?
I picked up my silver-handled shears. No. I cut through the first obsolete pattern line.
Schedule our preview for the exact hour Vaughn launches theirs. If she wants my past, she can have the best view of my future.
At noon, Von Mason unveiled its commercial version of E17. I did not begin with a statement about contracts. I began with a model walking into the light. The first look kept only the idea of the old diagonal break, transforming it into layered seams that moved with the body instead of cutting across it. The second look changed the structure again. By the final gown, E17 was no longer something I was repeating. It was something I had survived and moved beyond. A buyer who had paused her order stood beside me.
So Vaughn owns the old version?
They have a disputed license connected to one historical archive project.
They do not own what I became after it.
The final model stepped forward. Applause spread through the room. Within an hour, 2 suspended orders returned. A third buyer increased hers. Gabriel stayed near the back wall the entire time. He did not introduce me, answer questions for me, or turn my launch into proof that he was a good husband. After the room finally cleared, he came toward me.
You didn't need me to save that.
I let him take my hand anyway.
That doesn't mean I don't want you here.
His fingers tightened around mine. Then his phone vibrated. Madeline had sent a new agreement. She would drop every public challenge to Own Name immediately. In exchange, Aurelia had to give Vaughn first commercial rights to every resident collaboration for the next 10 years. The signature line was blank. Above it was one sentence. Sign before midnight. Gabriel brought Madeline's agreement home instead of answering it alone. He placed it on the kitchen table between us.
If I sign, she stops using E17 against Own Name tonight.
And 10 years of residents lose the right to negotiate first for themselves.
Yes.
He did not tell me what he thought I should choose. He waited.
6 years earlier, he had convinced himself that saving Aurelia justified placing other people second. This time, the person he most wanted to protect was me.
That made the choice more dangerous, not less.
Do you want to sign it?
I want Vaughn away from you.
That wasn't my question.
He looked at the contract again.
No. I don't want to become that man again just because losing you scares me more.
The anger I had carried since the wedding finally loosened.
Then don't save my name by taking theirs.
At Aurelia's emergency board meeting, we rejected the deal together. Madeline called at 11:52 p.m.
You are choosing principles over protection.
No. I'm choosing a future I can still respect after the crisis is over.
Then I hope your New York flagship survives opening week.
I looked at Gabriel. He did not tell me to postpone it.
What do you want to do?
Open on schedule.
The next morning, my brand director sent the final interior plans. One blank wall remained beside the entrance.
We need one decision from you. Whose photograph goes here?
Months later, Own Name opened its first New York flagship studio. Von Mason still had the right to sell a limited version of its old archive reproduction until the original license expired. It could no longer use my photograph, imply my endorsement, or touch the new collection. By then, none of that felt like losing. Madeline had managed to keep one version of my past. She had failed to become part of my future. Professor Whitmore arrived before the doors opened and stopped in front of the entrance wall. The photograph there was not from my wedding. It was not from Paris. It was not a magazine cover. It showed me years earlier at an Aurelia work table, sleeves pushed back, silver-handled shears in one hand, the first completed own name piece behind me. Beneath it were 4 words: Evelyn Reed, founder, designer. Gabriel came to stand beside me.
You never told me what you chose.
You never asked to choose it for me. He smiled.
It's your door.
Years ago, William had placed another woman's bridal portrait at the entrance to my wedding. I had asked where our photograph would go because I still believed love meant fighting for space inside someone else's decision. Now the doors opened beneath my own name. Madeline appeared briefly among the invited buyers. She looked at the photograph, then at me.
Still refusing to compromise?
No. I just learned what isn't for sale. She had no answer to that. Gabriel held out his hand as the first guests entered. I took it because I wanted him beside me, not because I needed him in front of me. A reporter called from the doorway.
I antige terao. Mr. Laurent, whose idea was the entrance portrait?
Ask the founder.
I smiled and led us inside.
This time, no one was standing in my place. And loving someone no longer required me to leave myself behind.